Welcome to 360 Viral Trends TV, the heartbeat of real, raw and unfiltered global updates. This isn't just a news platform. This is where truth meets courage and where your voice matters. But make sure to like, share and subscribe so you never miss the truth behind the headlines. Disclaimer: this video is for educational and informational purposes only. Everything shared here is based on documented reports, viral reactions and publicly available content. We do not promote violence, misinformation or hate. Viewers' discretion is advised. Alright, in today's update, we want to talk about the Osun Monarch, who is now jailed for 4 years in the US for $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud, as you can see from the Punch newspaper. His full name is Oba Joseph Olugbenga Oloyede. He was born on December 7th, 1962. He grew up in Nigeria, but in the late 90s, he moved to the United States. In America, he built a new life. He worked as a tax preparer, became an accountant, and at one time taught accounting at a university in Ohio. He ran many businesses, registered a non-profit organization, and lived in Medina, Ohio, in the United States of America, until destiny called him back home, where he was crowned as the apetu of Ipetumodu in Osunstate, Nigeria. It is a highly respected throne in the kingdom, and with that, Joseph became Oba Oloyede, a custodian of tradition, and from that moment, he lived in two worlds. In Nigeria, he was a king, and in America, he was a businessman and a tax expert. At first, he balanced both lives. He traveled often, appeared in cultural festivals like the Odun Egugu, the Ota Aje. But things began to change as COVID-19 came in 2020 and brought the whole world to their knees. Business in America were shutting down, families were desperate. The US government rushed to help with 2 relief programs which were created, called the PPP and EIDL loans. They were meant to save struggling small businesses. Billions of dollars were released, and that flood of money opened a door for fraud. Oba Oloyede saw that door and he walked right through it. From April 2020 to February 2022, he teamed up with a 62-year-old Nigerian pastor in Ohio called Edward Oluwasani, and together they began filing loan applications in regard to the billions of dollars that was released by the US government to ease relief to small businesses. But these were not honest applications because they were filed with lies. They forged tax documents, created fake payrolls. They made business look bigger than they were. After the application, money started pouring in for Oba Oloyede's company and non-profit organization, and they got about $1.7 million US, while the pastor got about $1.2 million. But Oba Oloyede wasn't satisfied. He went further to use his position as a tax expert to file applications for clients and charged his clients 15 to 20% of whatever loan that was approved. He pocketed all of this and never told the IRS about it. In all, 38 fraudulent applications were traced back to Oba. Both the one he did with the pastor all summed up to the total of $4.2 million US. The Oba used the money to buy a luxury home in Medina, Ohio, landed properties. Money that should have helped workers survive the pandemic was turned into his own fortune. But fraud, they say, leaves footprints. The US investigators noticed and began investigating. The FBI got involved. The IRS criminal investigation joined as well. And next, the Pandemic Response Fraud Task Force took over the matter. Before he returned to America, a federal grand jury filed a sealed indictment against him. He was not declared wanted because they know fully well that he will return back to America. Until when he returned to the US and the FBI arrested him, he did not know that a sealed indictment was waiting for him. He was charged of conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, false tax returns. He was also able to bail himself with $20,000, and then they started judging the matter. He surrendered both the US and Nigerian passports. Meanwhile, in his kingdom, the people started growing unease, saying what could be holding their king for not coming around ever since. For all the festive periods, he was not seen. Instead, his wife, Sherry Oloyede, stood in for him. But to the people, it was a taboo. A woman or a queen is not supposed to be performing certain rites made for the king to perform. They called it abomination. Rumors began to fly. Some said he was sick, others said he was tied up with business abroad. But some whispered the truth that their king was in trouble with the law in America. By April 2024, the case was in court and the Oba made a choice, and the choice was for him to plead guilty of the 6 counts in total, which were conspiracy that he committed wire fraud, 3 counts of money transactions with stolen funds, 2 counts of false tax returns. His co-conspirator, Pastor Oluwasemi, also pleaded guilty. His lawyers begged for leniency. They said the pandemic made the Oba not to know what he was doing. Called him a father, a professor, and a man with clean past, that he has never done things like this before. But the prosecutors painted a different picture of him. They showed evidence of what he did, saying it was deliberate and fully orchestrated. Just few days ago, on August 26, 2025, the U.S. District Judge Christopher A. Bonko delivered the sentence. He said that Oba Oloyede will serve 56 months in prison, that is 4 years and 8 months. He was also ordered to repay the $4 million and will have to forfeit his Medina home. He lost over $96,000 from his company accounts. He owed the IRS nearly $200,000 for false tax filings, and even after prison, he would serve 3 years of supervised release. That is, after he finishes his prison terms, he is not fully free yet. He will have to live in the community for good 3 years under rules. This is known as supervised release under the US federal system. So during this period, he must report to a US probation officer. He must keep the officers updated on where he lives and works. He must not commit any crime. His travel, especially outside the district or outside the US, must need permission. He must keep paying restitution and tax debts as ordered. If he breaks these rules, the judge can revoke supervised release. He can be sent back to prison. His partner, Pastor Oluwasemi, had already been sentenced in July 2024. The pastor himself got 27 months in prison, that is 2 years and 3 months, a $15,000 fine, and had to return over $1.2 million. Now for the Oba, this scandal shocked his people in his hometown. Their palace had already been demolished by the Oba with the full intention of him rebuilding it before. And now the Osun state government, led by Governor Adeleke, has begun talks on how to remove him as the Oba. Please, what are your thoughts on this? Drop them in the comment section and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.